والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قال علي عليه السلام الفرصة سريعة الفوت وبطيئة العود. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, praise be upon Muhammad our Prophet and his prophecy, for they have paved the way for us to be here and talk about the Islamic concepts on this night and this holy place. Tonight's topic that I want to talk about is time stealers and how to manage the time. You know, the concept of time management has been around about 100 years. 100 years we have seen all ideas and all topics about time management. And I want to talk about this term because actually the term time management is somehow misconstrued in our daily lives. Because, time management, because the concept of time management is somehow a false impression. Because the time can't be managed, the time can't be controlled. For what we can control is ourselves instead. So the term time management is somehow misleading. So in all my speech, when I talk about the time management, you should be aware that the time can't be controlled and we have to control ourselves instead. A few topics that I want to talk about tonight are about some concepts that will be brightened right in front of ourselves. One is poor planning. You know, the feel we get at nights when we feel that we haven't been useful in all the day around, and we feel at the end of the day that we have done nothing. You know, this feeling comes from our daily deeds. And when we have less things to do and we think that we've done nothing. This poor feeling comes from poor planning. You know, everything has a factor, and the factor should be, understood. So, if we don't know ourselves, if we don't know what we are capable of, we can't somehow manage to do things in our daily lives. If you know what I'm talking about. You know, if we know ourselves better, we can think that what we are good at. And then we can, for example, use the technology. You know, the technology in our daily lives is somehow using us. Instead, we should use technology. You know, the softwares, all the things that go around ourselves, we should be aware that we should use them, not let them use us instead. The second factor that I want to talk about is the use of technologies and somehow social media. You know, as I said, we should take control of social media rather than letting it use us. For example, the TVs and the cell phones and the social media and all the softwares we see in our daily lives, these should be controlled and somehow managed so that we can use better. You know, these are seen as a prerequisite term in our daily lives, and we should take care of that. We shouldn't take more time on a prerequisite thing rather than itself, rather than its original. The third term I want to talk about is in Western ideas, in Western scholars think that if you mind other people's business, if you care about the other people, you are somehow losing your time. You're wasting your time in that way, and that's not a good thing in Islamic concept. If I want to talk about, because in ethical and Islamic terms, this is somehow a very good one to somehow consume, to save our time, because one verse from Imam Musa Kazem says, the one who helps his brother is within God's mercy, and that thing is a very good one. because we can use that a lot, in our daily lives. When you help people, they can use their times, and instead it comes back to us, because the circulation of the worldly system is like this. And the last factor to be talked about is somehow the lack of priorities. The concept of priorities in our daily lives is very important, because or we can say the clergymen sometimes think that we are not losing our time and we are not wasting our time, and somehow rather we are using it the best way possible. But it's not like this sometimes. When Satan was in God's favor, God said that you should pray for this human being that I've made. And he said, no, I won't do that. And what did he say instead? He said, I will not pray for him, but I will pray for you, the praying that you haven't been able to see from any of your creations this day. He didn't say, I won't go around and waste my time. He said, I won't do that, but instead I will do the praying that you haven't seen till now. This shows that priorities are so important, because if you are doing something good, but this is the question, that if you're using the best thing, if you're doing the best thing possible at the right time, this is called the priority, and we should be aware of that. And in the end, I want to talk about one of our thinkers and scholars he was talking about the time, and he said, when I was younger, I was waiting for one of my friends. I was waiting then, and about 10 minutes passed by, and I didn't do anything in that time. And I just waited and stood by there and see the time flying. And after 10 minutes, my friend arrived. He said that right now that I'm standing right in front of you, he said that right now I am still regretting that moment, for I have done nothing. You see, this shows the importance of this concept. So, after all these factors that I talked to you about, another riwayah says, انتهض الفرس فإنها تمر مر السحاب. It says, take the time, because it goes by just like the clouds go by and fly by. So you should take the time. But as I said at the beginning of the show, the term time management somehow is misconstrued, and we should be aware that time can't be managed, and the thing to be managed is ourselves instead, and the prerequisite was to know ourselves. And I want to thank everyone that helped to bring this speech and make this happen, and may the God give us the ability to say yes to His duties and to be the time savers in this era. And may He give us a good life to do whatever He wants us to do. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.